The grand piano crashed to the floor with a sickening bang, sending a hush across the crowded concert hall. Gasps echoed through the dome-shaped auditorium, not because of the fall, but because of who was standing frozen beside it. A blind, teenage black girl in a faded sweater and cracked boots, her trembling hand still hovering over the last key she'd struck. Across from her, standing smugly, was Victor Grimaldi, Europe's most revered pianist, his sneer sharp enough to slice through silence. "I told you," he said coldly, brushing invisible lint from his custom silk jacket, "piano is not for charity cases or gimmicks." Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell to get notified for more, share to friends. Where are you watching from? Please tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our story goes. People in the crowd shifted awkwardly. Whispers spread like wildfire. Cameras zoomed in. The girl's name was Amara. 17. Blind since birth. A nobody from the south side of Chicago. But what the world didn't know was that Amara had been trained for this moment. Not by masters, but by life, struggle, and the silence of a room filled with nothing but sound. It all began 3 days earlier when Amara stumbled into the International Music Institute's open audition. The grand prize, a solo performance at the Vienna Royal Hall and a full scholarship. She wasn't on the list. Her name wasn't even spelled right on the form she begged someone else to fill out. But she brought with her a piece of paper, a handwritten letter from her late father, a once-renowned jazz saxophonist who died in prison. The guards let her in as a favor. Pity, maybe. She didn't care. The waiting room was cold and smelled like privilege. Girls with glossy curls warmed their fingers, sipping imported tea. Boys in pressed suits hummed warm-ups passed down from private tutors. Amara sat alone, headphones tangled in her lap, rocking slightly to the rhythm of a melody only she knew. It wasn't Mozart. It wasn't Chopin. It was hers. A mix of street jazz, broken dreams, and what her grandma called soul magic. When they called her name, Amy Rogers, she stood. "It's Amara," she corrected gently, reaching for her walking stick. The judges barely looked up. She made her way to the stage, counting steps in her head. A long pause. Then laughter. Victor Grimaldi himself was there, a surprise guest judge. His voice slithered across the microphone. "Is this a talent show or a pity parade?" The crowd chuckled. Amara said nothing. She sat, adjusted, ran her fingers across the keys like they were old friends. Then she played. The room changed. Her fingers danced, coaxed, commanded the keys. It wasn't loud, it was alive. A thunderstorm in harmony. Each note told a story. A girl trying to find her mother's heartbeat in silence, a father teaching rhythm through the bars of a jail cell, a city that never listened until she made it here. By the time she reached the climax, one of the strings snapped. She didn't stop. She didn't flinch. Her left hand adapted while the right raged on. The audience, stunned into stillness, didn't breathe until the last note melted into nothingness. That was when Victor, red with rage, stormed forward and flipped the piano onto the ground. "She cheated," he roared. "No blind girl can play like that without some trick." Security rushed in. Judges rose. Cameras kept rolling. But Amara, silent and still, simply whispered, "I don't need eyes to see the music." The video went viral overnight. People from around the world sent letters, donations, and standing ovations. Jazz legends in Harlem said her rhythm was a resurrection. A retired conductor in Tokyo declared it the most honest sound of the decade. And yet, the Vienna Royal Committee disqualified her. Said her piece wasn't classical enough. That her background was unverified. That her style didn't fit the tone of the event. Victor Grimaldi appeared on late-night television, brushing it off. "She has potential. But potential without discipline is just noise." 2 days later, the mayor of Chicago declared a city concert in her honor. She turned it down. 3 weeks passed. Then came the Vienna Gala. Victor stood center stage, dressed in gold and arrogance. He bowed, sat, played the first note, and froze. A ripple of murmurs. There she was. Amara. Invited secretly by the Prince of Austria himself, who had watched her video in tears with his blind daughter. They created a surprise performance slot. The royal guards escorted her in. Victor leapt up. She can't be here. This is an insult. The prince only smiled. If music is universal, let the people decide. Amara sat at the second piano, worn boots dangling inches above the polished floor. The hall held its breath. Then she played. No fanfare. No sheet music. Just feeling. She told a story of rejection, fire, pain, and rebirth. Of silence speaking louder than judgment. Of how a blind black girl made the world listen when no one would look. Victor stormed out mid-performance. But Amara finished. The crowd rose, first one person, then hundreds. A thunderous ovation shook the ceiling. People wept. Musicians on stage dropped their instruments, clapping with tears in their eyes. Amara stood, bowed with a gentle smile, then turned and whispered, "Daddy, we made it." Moral lesson. Talent has no class. Vision doesn't require sight. And dignity cannot be silenced by status. Never underestimate the unheard, the unseen, or the underestimated, because they often carry the loudest truth. Thank you for watching this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We've got more powerful stories coming your way. Stay inspired, stay strong. See you at the top.